Your fiancé and your sister belong together. Accept it. That's what my parents said as they sided with her, then dumped me on the highway in the rain because I wouldn't support them. So I cut them off, exposed everything quietly, and watched their perfect image burn down around them. Hey, Reddit, my parents left me on the side of the road in the rain after siding with my sister and my fiancé. Yeah, it got that bad. Before I tell you how it all went down, let me start from the beginning. I'm Elaine. Dad's Mark, Mom's Linda, younger sister is Eli, and John was my fiancé until about 2 hours after this story starts. That's the whole lineup. We're not a big family. We're not warm either. My parents love looking like a tight family in public. But at home, they talk to you like you're a coworker who keeps underperforming. My family isn't the yelling type. They don't throw plates or scream at each other. They act polite while cutting you down in ways that make you feel like maybe you're the crazy one for being upset. That's their style. My dad works in finance and talks like every problem in life can be solved with clear communication and mutual understanding, which always translates into US kids doing what he wants, because he sounds calm while saying it. My mom worries a lot about how we look as a family. Every holiday photo, every graduation announcement, it's all curated like we're a campaign ad. And then there's Eli, my younger sister, golden child since birth. Example, I got a 3.88 GPA in high school and they told me I should aim higher next time. Eli got a 2.9 and Dad said not everyone needs books. Some people have people skills. That's the family dynamic in one sentence. So what's coming next makes sense. So, Saturday afternoon, we're driving to my cousin's wedding. I'm in the back seat with Eli. She's glued to her phone, thumbs flying. Mom's up front, reapplying lipstick in the mirror, even though it's barely noon. Dad's driving like we're on a schedule. It starts out normal enough. Small talk about the weather, about who's going to be at the wedding. Then Mom turns halfway around in her seat and gives me that soft smile she uses right before saying something unpleasant. Then Mom goes real casual. Elaine, we should talk as a family before we get there. I knew something was off instantly. Okay, I said slowly. Dad clears his throat. This isn't easy for anyone. We've been talking with John and Eli, and some things have come to light. My eyes flick over to Eli, still texting. Mom folds her hands like she's about to pray. John and Eli have gotten very close lately. We think it's time to be honest about everyone's feelings. I stare at her. Close how? Eli smirks without looking up. You know, close. Dad jumps in like a moderator. Let's stay constructive. John feels you've been distant, Elaine. He needs someone more emotionally present. Eli's been there for him. Like I just forgot about the 3 years John and I lived together. Like Eli doing DoorDash runs with him somehow equals emotional depth. Mom puts on her pity face. He says it wasn't planned. Feelings just happened. We can't control that. I can feel my pulse climbing. So, you've all decided for me. Dad keeps his eyes on the road. We think it would be best if you let John and Eli explore this without hostility. Families adapt. That what we call it, I say, adapting. Mom sighs like I'm the problem here. Elaine, we just don't want drama. If you can be mature. I laugh once, sharp. Mature? You mean shut up and smile while my sister hooks up with my fiancé? Eli finally looks at me. You weren't giving him what he needed. He told me everything. You were checked out. Wow, I say. That's bold coming from someone whose last job was 2 weeks at a vape shop. She shrugs. He needs someone who actually shows up. I feel this tightness in my chest. Not sadness, just disbelief at how casual they're being. Dad's voice goes firm. Elaine, this is happening. You can either be supportive or you can take some time to think about what really matters. Rain's coming harder now, slapping the windshield. I look at Mom. You're okay with this? She gives me that fake sweet smile. Honey, love doesn't always look the way we expect. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Then Eli, like she's delivering some profound truth. We didn't mean to hurt you, but John and I, we fit. I stare at her. You fit? That what you said when you kissed him the first time? She leans back, arms crossed. You weren't around. Somebody had to be. I can't even look at her anymore. Dad signals right. We're slowing down. Where are we going? I ask. Elaine, he says, calm but sharp. If you can't be reasonable right now, maybe you need time to cool off. He pulls onto the shoulder near some construction cones. Trucks roar past, spraying mist. I blink at him. You're kidding. Give me your phone, Dad says, hand out. We'll talk when you're ready to be calm. Mom's voice goes soft. This is best for everyone. I just stare at them all. Eli's watching me now with that smug little grin, like she's already won. I open the door. Rain blows in cold and hard. Fine, I say. You picked your team. Now watch what happens next. Door slams. Dad pulls away. I stand there on the shoulder, rain soaking through my shirt, watching their taillights vanish into the gray. Then I start walking. Rain was heavy enough now that my shirt stuck to my shoulders. My boots were already soaked through in 10 minutes. The highway shoulder wasn't made for walking, just uneven gravel and those thin white lines that buzz if you step on them. Trucks blew past, spraying cold water. I kept moving because standing still felt worse. First thing I did was check pockets. Wallet was there. Keys were there. No phone. Dad had taken it. They hadn't thought to take my wallet, so at least I wasn't stranded with nothing. Up ahead was a faded blue sign. Gas, food. 2 miles, with one of the letters missing. That was the plan now. Get somewhere with lights and a roof. The rain kept slapping my face sideways. A car slowed once, but then sped off when they saw I wasn't waving like someone in real trouble. Maybe I didn't look desperate enough. Took about 40 minutes before I saw the gas station lights, one of those older ones with flickering tubes over the pumps. The attached diner was closed. Inside the station, it smelled like burnt coffee and tire cleaner. A guy in a windbreaker behind the counter looked up once, then went back to scrolling his phone. I asked if there was a payphone. He jerked a thumb toward the corner, the kind with physical buttons, scratched up plastic, probably older than me. I dug out change from my wallet, called my friend Allie. No answer. Left a short message. Got stranded. Heading back tomorrow. We'll explain. Next was the bus schedule posted on the wall near the door. Last bus heading toward my city had left an hour ago. First one back was tomorrow at 9:00 in the morning. Perfect. I asked the counter guy if there was anywhere to stay nearby. He nodded toward a flickering motel sign across the lot. Cash only, he said. The motel looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. Buzzing neon, thin curtains, front office with a bell that didn't work. A tired-looking man finally appeared from the back room when I knocked on the glass. I told him I needed a room just for the night. He looked me over, probably noticed I was dripping water on his floor, then quoted a number $20 cheaper than the sign out front. Room key was real metal, not a card. Room smelled faintly like cleaning chemicals and cigarettes. Carpet had patterns to hide stains, but there was a working lock, a bathroom, and a heater that clanked when I turned it on. I peeled off the soaked shirt, hung it over the heater, and sat on the edge of the bed making a quick list on the motel notepad. Things to do tomorrow. New phone plan, apartment locks changed, storage unit pickup, work call about moving deadlines forward. I kept the list short. No overthinking, just steps. Tried the TV. Only 2 channels came through clear, both showing reruns. Turned it off. Found a vending machine near the ice maker outside and got a bag of chips and a soda. That was dinner. Sat on the bed eating quietly while rain hammered the window. Around midnight, someone slammed a car door outside, hard enough to shake the wall. A couple argued for 5 straight minutes in the parking lot, then drove off. Thin walls made it easy to hear every word. I slept in my jeans with my wallet under the pillow. Heater kept kicking on and off like it was dying, but at least the room stayed warm. In the morning, I left the key on the counter. The man behind the glass barely looked up from his crossword puzzle. The bus stop was just a bench with peeling paint next to the diner that opened at 6:00. I got coffee and a stale sandwich that tasted fine because I was hungry enough not to care. The bus showed up 10 minutes late, brakes squealing. Driver didn't say a word, just took my cash and gave me a ticket. 6 seats back, I finally felt the tension drain out of my shoulders a little. Still no phone, so I just watched rain slide down the windows while the highway rolled by. Thought about the apartment first. John still had stuff there. Probably some of mine at his place, too. Locks needed changing before anyone got ideas about dropping by while I wasn't home. The second was the storage unit. I had boxes there from before John moved in. Old laptop, spare documents, things I didn't want sitting in the apartment now that my family apparently thought drawing lines didn't matter. Third was work. I already had a major deliverable due next month. If I could finish early, it cut off whatever story my family might spin about me losing focus or not handling things well. The bus rattled through small towns and long stretches of wet trees. Nobody talked. Every stop, someone got on or off without looking at anyone else. It was early afternoon by the time we reached the city terminal. I grabbed my backpack, slung it over one shoulder, and walked out into steady drizzle. First thing I did after getting off the bus was head straight to my apartment. The rain had finally slowed, but everything was still wet enough that my jacket clung to my shoulders. I stopped at the hardware store on the corner before going in. Bought a new lock set, 2 spare keys. Clerk didn't ask why I needed it. 15 minutes later, I was swapping out the deadbolt on my apartment door. John hadn't been there since the engagement party a month back, but I wasn't about to leave anything open. We'd been splitting time between his place and mine, so a few things lingered. Inside, everything was exactly how I'd left it. Couch pillows still uneven. Kitchen counter still stacked with unopened mail. I checked every room anyway. His sweater was still on the chair by the window. A toiletries bag in the bathroom cabinet. All of it went into one box labeled with his name. I set it by the door. He could pick it up when I was ready for that conversation. Not before. Next stop was the storage unit across town. I'd had it since college. Half my old life stacked in there in cardboard and plastic bins. The woman at the front desk handed me my key card, scanning it like she did 100 times a day. Inside my unit was a metal shelf with 3 boxes marked Docs, Tech, and MICC. I pulled down the tech one first. Old laptop, charger wrapped tight, external hard drive, an ancient phone with a cracked screen. All of it still worked last I checked. I packed the laptop and hard drive into my backpack, left the rest. Back at the apartment, I powered everything up on the kitchen table. First the laptop, slow with updates, but functional. I opened messages on the laptop. My old numbers threads synced over Wi-Fi. Priority 1, accounts. I changed passwords for everything. Email, bank, social media, cloud storage. Added 2-factor where I hadn't before. Removed recovery emails tied to old numbers. I didn't want anyone claiming accidental access later. While updates ran, I checked shared photo albums John and I had used. Dates, locations, captions. I wasn't looking for memories. I was looking for timelines. When things shifted, when Eli started showing up more in places she hadn't before, it was all there if you knew what to look for. Calendar events, too. John had this habit of inviting me to everything through email. Dinner here, party there. Around 6 months back, half those invites stopped. Right when Eli started posting more photos with him in the background at random places. Venmo transactions were public enough if you knew where to click. Little notes about coffee runs and gas money between Eli and John, right when he told me he was cutting back on expenses. I kept a simple document open while I checked. Dates in one column, notes in another. No big speeches, just facts anyone could verify if they wanted. Next, I called the landlord, told him I wanted the locks officially registered as changed. He said no problem, he'd update the file. I also told him John no longer lived there and had no access. He asked if there was a restraining issue. I said no, just making boundaries clear. He shrugged verbally and said it was done. Work was next. I sent my manager an email. I can move my project deadline up 2 weeks if that helps the team schedule. We'll share revised timeline tomorrow. He replied in 15 minutes with, if you can deliver early, it would help a lot. That was what I wanted, proof of reliability before anyone tried to spin this as me falling apart. By evening, I had 3 folders on the laptop. Timeline, screenshots, dates, locations. Financial, joint expenses, transfers, notes. Personal, anything said directly to me in texts or emails that contradicted their story. I didn't plan to post it anywhere. I just wanted the record straight in case people started twisting facts. The laptop chimed while I was labeling folders. John, we should talk when you're ready. Instead, I ordered a cheap phone plan for the backup phone and set it up under a new number. I didn't share that number with family. They kept texting the old one, which I could read on the laptop. I sent one group text to work contacts with the update, sent another to 2 close friends. Family stuff happened. We'll explain later. Use this number now. By 10 p.m., I had everything backed up twice. 1 copy on the hard drive, 1 on the laptop. I shut it all down and set it aside. Dinner was leftover pasta I barely tasted while writing a short checklist for tomorrow. Checklist stayed simple. Return his box on my schedule. Finish the next chunk of work early. Close the storage unit. Before bed, I took one last walk through the apartment. Doors locked, windows latched, John's box by the door, ready for pickup whenever I decided that would happen. The laptop chimed again around midnight. This time, Eli. We should clear the air. Don't make this ugly. I typed without sending. About what? About you and my fiancé? Or about you and our parents dumping me in the rain? I closed the lid instead. Sleep came in pieces. John showed up 2 days later. No warning, just a knock on the door while I was halfway through drafting a project report for work. I opened it halfway. He stood there holding an umbrella, hair damp from the drizzle outside. We need to talk, he said, like he expected me to invite him in immediately. I didn't move. Your stuff's in the box by the door. He frowned. That's it? 3 years together, and you won't even have a conversation? I leaned against the doorframe. I'm not debating this. You and Eli made choices. I'm just cleaning up what's mine. He shifted the umbrella to his other hand. It wasn't like that, Elaine. We didn't plan any of this. You were so distant lately. I felt alone all the time. I pointed at the box. Take your things. That's all there is to do here. His jaw tightened. So you're just going to throw everything away like it meant nothing? I looked him straight in the eye. You made sure it meant nothing. I'm just accepting the facts. For a second, he looked like he might argue. Then he grabbed the box without another word. He left with the same silence he'd shown when he started fading out of my life months ago. I shut the door, locked it, and went back to work. That evening, Eli texted, we should talk. Clear the air about what? About everything. John, the family. Nobody wanted it to blow up like this. Send whatever you have to say here. I'm not meeting in person. There was a long pause before she wrote back. We didn't want to hurt you, but you weren't right for him. You never showed him enough attention. The timeline says otherwise. What timeline? Dates, screenshots, Venmo notes, all the little things you didn't bother hiding. 5 minutes passed before she replied, Are you threatening me? No, just saying facts don't change because you want them to. She stopped texting after that. The next morning, my parents called. I let it go to voicemail first. Mom left a long message about how we're all adults here, and this family needs healing, not grudges. Dad's voice came on near the end, telling me I was being dramatic and making things worse than they needed to be. I called them back at lunch so there wouldn't be interruptions while I worked. Mom answered. Elaine, thank you for calling. We just want to talk this through. I'm not interested in talking it through. You made choices. I'm setting boundaries. Dad's voice joined in on speaker. This hostility doesn't help anyone. Families survive tough times by sticking together. You stuck together just fine when you left me on the side of the highway. Silence for a few seconds. Then Mom said, that was so things didn't escalate. I almost laughed. You mean so I wouldn't ruin the story you were planning to tell everyone? Dad's voice hardened. This attitude isn't productive, Elaine. You can't cut everyone off just because things didn't go your way. I'm not cutting anyone off, I said. I'm setting rules. No surprise visits. No spin about what happened. No trying to drag me into family events like nothing happened. Keep things practical and simple. Mom sighed like she was carrying the weight of the world. So that's it. You're just going to shut everyone out? I'm going to keep things clean, I said, which is more than I can say for any of you. They didn't have much to say after that. That night, I sent one email to the family group thread with the subject line ground rules. It was short. Return anything of mine you still have by next Friday. No unannounced visits. No spreading false stories about why things ended. Contact only for practical matters until further notice. I ended it with, do not mistake silence for indecision. I'm done debating this. No one replied. 2 days later, Mom left another voicemail about how I was breaking the family apart. I didn't answer. Friday came and John's box was gone from the hallway. Someone must have picked it up while I was at the office. No note, no message, just gone. Fine by me. That weekend, Eli texted again. We should at least meet once, face to face. No reason to. Everything important is in writing. She didn't respond. By Monday morning, I'd stopped expecting any apologies. None came. Instead, I kept working through the list I made that first night back. First phase of the project was early delivery for work. I spent the morning finalizing the first project milestone, sent it over by noon. Manager replied. 20 minutes later. This is perfect. We can push the next phase ahead 2 weeks now. That was the point. Get ahead of schedule so nobody could say I was falling apart. After lunch, I started looking into John's past connections. Not gossip, just facts. A coworker of his, someone I'd met once at a company barbecue, posted on social media about changing departments. I messaged him, said, "Congrats," then casually asked if he still talked to John much. He replied, "Not really, but he moves on fast. Always someone new." I asked, "What do you mean by that?" He sent back, "He dated someone before you. Ended weird. Close with her sister, too, I think. Whole thing blew up. He left the team for a while." That was all he said, but it lined up with the way John and Eli acted. Quick shift, no hesitation, like there was a script they'd followed before. I went through old social media posts next, not mine. Public ones from mutuals, pictures with dates, captions with locations. You could see the overlap if you knew where to look. Times, John said he was working late, but someone tagged him at a concert with Eli. Posts from Eli complaining about her roommate's drama when I knew she was staying at his place some weekends. It wasn't dramatic evidence, nothing that would blow up a room, but it built a timeline showing how long this had been going on while they told me nothing was happening. Midweek, I found a post from a woman named Kara, buried in mutual friend lists. Different city now, new job, but 4 years ago, she dated a guy whose name I recognized, John before me. Comments under one of her posts hinted at a messy breakup involving family drama. I sent her a short message. "Sorry to bother you. Did John date your ex around 2019 and end up close with your sister? Trying to understand some things on my end." She replied the next day, "Yeah, same story you're probably hearing now. Said they didn't mean for it to happen. Family wanted me to stay quiet so nobody looked bad." I thanked her and saved the messages anyway. By Thursday, I had the 3 neat folders and nothing to send to anyone. I didn't need to. My life was moving forward. Theirs was about to take care of itself. By Friday evening, I printed a few key screenshots from the timeline folder. Nothing dramatic, just the ones showing dates overlapping between John and Eli while I was still with him. I slid them into an envelope and left it in my desk drawer. Insurance, in case anyone tried to spin things backward later. That night, I got another text from Eli. "People are asking questions. You started this?" I replied, "Nope. People just notice things when you stop talking." She didn't like that. "You're making us look bad for no reason." I sent back one line, "You did that yourselves." She didn't answer. By Sunday, word reached me through a mutual friend that Eli and John were arguing. Something about him being secretive lately and her feeling like he was pulling away. Exactly the kind of tension I expected once their story stopped being about me and started being about them. I didn't say a word. Instead, I spent the afternoon revising the second phase of my work project so I could deliver that early too. Keep everything moving forward while their side slowly cracked on its own. Sunday night, Mom left another voicemail. "Your sister says you're trying to ruin things for her and John. This needs to stop before it goes too far." I saved the message but didn't reply. By the next week, things started breaking without me lifting a finger. First sign came Monday morning when a coworker of Dad's, someone on his school board committee, emailed me asking if everything was okay. He said Dad had been tense in the last meeting. Left early after getting a call. I hadn't called him. That afternoon, a mutual friend sent me a screenshot from John's Instagram. Comments under one of his posts were full of people asking why Eli and I weren't on speaking terms. Somebody wrote, "Wait, wasn't he engaged to Elaine first?" No reply from him. By Tuesday, word spread through the community group chats Mom loved so much. She ran 3 charity events a year, always posting pictures of our close family in matching t-shirts. Now, people were asking why I wasn't in any photos, why nobody had seen me at the last fundraiser. Mom texted, "We need to talk about appearances. People are confused." I replied, "Tell them the truth then." No answer after that. Midweek, I sent Eli one single envelope. Inside were 3 printed screenshots, dates from 6 months back, showing John telling 2 different people 2 different stories. One where he claimed he was still with me, another where he told someone he'd already broken things off. Both overlapped with posts of him and Eli together. I wrote one sentence on the back page, "This is the version you weren't shown." She didn't reply right away, but Thursday night, I heard from a mutual friend that Eli had left John's apartment after some big fight. Apparently, she accused him of lying about when things started. He yelled back about her being paranoid. Whole thing ended with her crashing at a friend's house. I didn't text her. Friday morning, Mom called again. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was sharper this time. You're creating division on purpose. This family doesn't air private problems in public. I saved it like the others. By Friday night, things really cracked. Someone from Dad's committee cornered him about why I'd been missing from every event lately, why his oldest daughter seemed to have vanished while his youngest suddenly showed up everywhere with her sister's ex-fiancé. Dad apparently tried to spin some story about me needing space. But then someone asked why neighbors had seen them leave me on the highway. That detail got around fast. Saturday afternoon, Dad called me. I picked up this time. His voice was tight. Did you tell people about the highway? I heard later that somebody's dash cam caught it. It made the neighborhood group by morning. No, I said. Guess someone saw it happen. He exhaled sharply. This is getting out of control. Your mother's phone hasn't stopped ringing. The board wants answers. Then give them the real ones. He didn't like that. Elaine, families handle things privately. You don't burn the house down because of one mistake. You left me in the rain 50 miles from home, I said. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Silence on the line. Then he muttered something about me being ungrateful before hanging up. Saturday night, Eli finally texted. John lied to me about some stuff when things started. About you. He said you were already done when we got close, but your screenshots. Facts don't care what story he told. Long pause. Did you plan this? Sending things to people? Making us look bad? Didn't have to. You're doing that yourselves. No reply after that. By Sunday morning, things hit Mom. One of her charity partners asked on Facebook if the family situation was why she stepped back from the spring event planning. Mom hadn't stepped back. Not yet. But clearly people were talking. She called me again, voice sharp with panic this time. Elaine, whatever you're doing, stop. Your sister and John are barely speaking. Your father's reputation is on the line. People are starting to think something awful happened. Something awful did happen, I said. You just don't like that they're noticing. She started to say something else, then stopped herself. Finally, she asked, What do you want? Nothing from you, I said. This is just gravity. Things fall on their own. She hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I heard from the same mutual friend who told me about Eli's fight with John. Apparently, John had shown up at a party alone. People asked where Eli was. He said she was processing things. Someone asked if that was code for breaking up. He didn't answer. By Monday, Mom sent a short text. Your sister moved back into her old room. John isn't welcome here right now. I didn't reply. Work kept moving. I delivered the second phase of my project early like I planned. Boss told me I was up for a lead role on the next one. Pay bump included. I shook his hand, thanked him, and started planning timelines that afternoon. At home, things got quieter. I started running in the mornings before work. Same route every day, headphones in, cold air cutting through as the sun came up. Came back, cooked breakfast, got ready for the office. Evenings were either gym or learning to cook something new that didn't come from a box. Weekends, I started going on longer rides with a coworker who was into cycling. The apartment felt lighter once John's things were gone. No reminders in the bathroom cabinet, no old pictures tucked in drawers. Just my space again. One night over dinner, a friend asked if I planned on forgiving anyone. I told him forgiveness wasn't the point. It was about boundaries, about making sure nobody thought they could burn everything down, then ask for trust like nothing happened. He nodded and didn't push it further. Mom tried again about a month later. Called and said the family wanted to start fresh. I asked if they had told anyone the truth yet. She said no, that it would make things worse. I said there was nothing to start then. She didn't call again. By spring, John was posting pictures in a new city with new people. Eli was still living at my parents' house, working a part-time job, looking tired in the few photos I saw of her. Mom had pulled out of 2 more charity events. Dad mostly stayed quiet online after stepping down from the board. Nobody asked me for a reunion anymore. I kept the folders on my laptop, but never used them. Didn't send them anywhere. Didn't need to. Things had already landed where they were supposed to. One evening, I sat on the balcony watching the sun drop behind the buildings. Quiet air, distant traffic. My phone buzzed with a message from my boss about the next project schedule. I told him I'd have the first draft by Monday. That was it. No big speeches, no final confrontation, just distance, consequences, and my life moving forward while theirs stayed stuck. They wanted silence when they left me on that highway. Now they had it.